Hey guys, it's Access Denied back again, and I'm here about uh, Duelist Grounds, like I said I would be. So I'm going to start out this discussion by talking to the people on DevPro. Okay, I'm gonna start out by asking them, who here is happy that netcloths are on DevPro? So we got two people. Oh, we have a little bit of genericism here, you know. See? Okay. So that's the question at hand. Is this what users want? Is this what users want? Is this what users want as far as updates? They want things immediately. This is the argument here. The netcloth of Gungar, Noble Knight, Spirit Beast, blah blah blah. You all have to wait till next month. That's 30 days from now. If you have any issues with this policy, figure out how to destroy a 10-minute debate, because otherwise you're boned. Okay, that's actually not that difficult to do, because it's not really a debate. It's a simple fact. It's what users want, and we are community servants. Give users what they want, or they don't use our software. In my previous video, I said that DN only makes up 25% of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulator community. At any given time, only 25 to maybe a third, depending on the time of day. Like if you're square within the American time zone, after school, before, like the evening-ish when the adults get off of work, then DN is like, a third. It sits between 25% and a third. And the way that DN is like I said in the previous video, is it caters to DuelistGroundZ. Now, I'm going to say something about DuelistGroundZ. First off, I think that the place is a good intellectual spot. There's conversation here about various topics, but when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh, it's really hard to find another forum where it gets down to nitty-gritty math, and the theorio is based all on fact, mathematics, and various theories and testing. There's at the same time an extreme disconnect emotionally. This isn't a forum where discussion about the relationship between, say, Pseudo World and Skyscraper, or the adventures of DD Warrior, or how Gagaga or Gagaga cards relate back to Dark Magician, or how the duelist terminal world is developing from a story point perspective, or if it's possible to limit yourself to a specific archetype to achieve something, or to explain a theory about somebody's personality via what type of deck that they use, or really explore deck building beyond a set amount of concepts. Those things relate to an emotional, creative part of the brain that is not expressed here. It's suppressed, actually. And that comes down to the adminship at DuelistGroundZ. When you push an argument to the emotional side, looking at it from a creative perspective, it is shut down and you are removed from the forum. If you show an extreme amount of emotion, you're removed from the forum. Any type of argument it's just gone. At the same time, if you argue for something that's unconventional, you get pages and pages and pages of let's not even try that. There's a inbred thinking that's done here that produces very high quality work, but its application is limited, and the users here do not see that. They are kind of stuck in a box. And that's what I have to say about this place. So my argument that the card should be put onto DN is that only 25% of people want them off of DN. Additionally, DN's numbers have dropped over the past couple months with the introduction of simulators like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, Dev Pro, My Card. Those numbers have dropped and they go back up depending on where the updates are. More people will test on DN than on a specific version. Notice I say specific version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. If those simulators haven't updated and DN is the most updated, DN's numbers will swell by approximately somewhere between 1/5. And in some cases, I've seen them double when a simulator is taken offline because of updates, or some type of overcapacity thing happens, especially in Asia. So, DN is DN's user base, and that user base which is connected to DuelistGroundZ, they feel that they are successful in what they do, and that they don't need to change. And because this specific user group, which is in control of DN to a certain extent within its middle tier of leadership, that isolates the higher tier leadership from what is actually going on. A Tim, you are not aware of what is going on at the larger whole. That is why you think that this is okay. And it's not. More users want the cards on DN than users that don't. The next argument put forth is Light Pulsar. And if there's any reason for a card not being on DN, it is the Light Pulsar argument. For a card not to be on DN, it comes down to ranked play. Like I said, DuelistGroundZ caters toward competitive players, and if they can't use a card in competitive play, what's the use of using it? There isn't one. It's irrelevant. Why? I don't care. Fuck you. Well, the thing is, you're not the only person in this picture. There's another 75% that cares. You are actually the minority. DuelistGroundZ is the minority. It's just loud and in control. And it's funny because they actually laugh at the other places like Zodiac, which is, that other 75% of people. There was I had to take a page out of Amanda Lapalm's book here. Take a page from it because she basically yelled at them, and so did Vexicus and CJ Sparking about you guys are not the only ones on this fucking planet. So it's not at this argument isn't at Duelist Grounds itself so much as the administrators that are there in control of Duelist Grounds and also on DN and have a high influence. That's who my argument is at. And like I was saying before, even the way that this is worded, it's you guys are becoming aware of it very slowly. If you have issues with this policy, somebody has issues with it, that's why he has to mention it. So getting back to my argument, Duelist Grounds doesn't care about cards they can't use in ranked, so why deal with judging those cards, because that's a waste of manpower, because Dueling Network is manual. Being manual, Dueling Network has to have a steady supply of judges, and because it's becoming less and less relevant because of the Duelist Grounds mindset, less people are using it, less people want the social status of being a judge there. I was speaking to my friend Cassandra and Rebecca, and they said we could be judges. Actually, one of them still has status as a judge, and she's just like, I don't go there. I remember some months back, I had the same discussion with 87 Shonuff and Amanda Lapine. It's not worth it. I mean, it gives social status. That's one reason somebody wants to be a judge, and that gives DN the manpower to operate the way that it feels it should operate, or should I say, Duelist Grounds feels it should operate. But without that care, it doesn't have that manpower. So it's not going to put OCG cards in and then have them be ranked, because they're going to need duelists and judges to use those cards, and the judges won't have the rulings for them. So my argument is, let the cards be on there, but not ranked, which I believe is what you guys are doing anyway. OCG isn't even ranked. You have an extremely high demand, and you can increase usage and throughput of revenue, because seriously, these sims, we need money to run. When it comes down to it, DN is in a little bit of a financial stickler kind of place. Not going into any details, the way that its software is set up is not like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pros. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pros, they all run off of $25 to $100 boxes. Dev Pros probably cost somewhere between $75 a month to run, and it handles somewhere between 20 to 25%. It's sometimes 33% of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community. DN, it's estimated at about 600. So you guys do need the money. Moving on in my argument, judges won't know the rulings for these cards, so they don't want them to be on DN because they'll have to deal with them. Just put it in unranked, and then people can get experience with them and kind of know what questions to ask when it comes time. The next argument along those lines, and I have to acknowledge this, is that if a judge does get called, that can lead to misinformation, but you're not putting it in a ranked area, so there's no reason a judge would be called. Continuing, DevPro does it. DevPro gets the rulings completely. Actually, let me back up. Percival is usually the first person to get an update. He has a small team that codes cards. They're usually the first people to get the update, and it's usually wrong. The cards are usually bugged. Very, 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 very bugged. And when they're bugged, you have a light pulsar problem. The card can be used and abused. I remember Cyber Dragons were bugged at one point where you were OTKing. Boojins were bugged really bad where you're OTKing. Light Swarms were bugged really bad where you're OTKing. But, it's not something in recent memory. people don't care. They just want the cards. They don't care if they're bugged. I mean, like, they care, but they don't care. I mean, it sucks that the card's bugged, but it doesn't really change anything. People just want the cards. You're not hurting anybody by giving them the cards. You're helping out DN because DN makes more money. There's no light pulsar issue because it's not used in ranked, and that's really what it comes down to. You don't want the cards used in ranked. All the other simulators are doing it, and yeah, they're fucking up in certain places, but it's come to the point where, you know, people expect this and they understand that. Now, if the cards are highly bugged, yeah, they're going to say something. They go to the forums, they're like, oh, by the way, this card's bugged. And do you want to know what they do next? They talk to the individual sim creators, and then the sim creators file issues. Like, for example, these are misrulings. These are real misrulings. Noble Knight Midrat is bugged. You're able to bypass the effect costs in a certain card. The last turn, second battle phase implementation needs to be fixed. Like, and you know, they'll post rulings, and you know, we'll actually talk about this. I mean, this is all that it takes. Explaining how the card is used. And then, finally, they fix the card. You know, some translation fixes here. These are all fixes. Self-destruct condition fixed. Ghost tricks acting up. The thing with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pros is, and this is versus DN. With DN, if there's a misconception, every single judge has to know the rules 100%. As Tim said himself, the judges cannot be wrong. It's impossible for the judges to be wrong, and that's just how the system has to be for it to work. With the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pros, it also cannot be wrong. But if it is wrong, it can be immediately corrected in one swell swoop. If a DN judge is wrong, that judge is going to be wrong about that one issue, and there's nobody to argue against him. There's nobody to go to the forums and say, hey, I was misruled. You know, this is how it should be, because there's going to be a whole entire long discussion about it. And ultimately, it's going to be ignored. So, if that one judge is reprimanded and learns, you know, that's not how that ruling was supposed to be, or applies logic in the wrong way, which the user accepts, I mean, it's still wrong. But he's going to continue to apply that logic in the wrong way. And there's no one that can stop him. Versus Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, it's a computer program, so it's always going to apply logic in the exact same fashion, which is correct, because it's been fine-tuned over 4 years. So with DN, you guys can't fuck up, and so you take all these asinine ways to not be wrong, and then assert that you're not wrong, and anybody that says you are wrong, you remove from your community, and creating kind of a circle jerk situation. And you becoming, because of that mentality, there's less and less of you, and you're not noticing that. And like I said, 75% of people are aware, and you're not. Well, that's it for my argument. Thank you, guys.